When you get that craving for Wendy's bacon mushroom melt with 3 strips of bacon and mushrooms in a cheddar sauce, it's impossible to resist. The bacon mushroom melt at Wendy's. It's better here.
Eddie Murphy and Metro on Guys Night In, 8 Thursday on City TV.
I'm Russ Froese. This is CKVU News. Tonight, more shocking detail from the confession tape of accused child killer Shane Ertmode.
I've never seen so much blood in my life.
Graphic details from a victim of domestic violence. She is almost killed by her boyfriend before police shot him.
I'm Dave Lefebvre. The grouse grind is a tough task for most, but it's a small mountain compared to what Rob Hill climbed to raise awareness for digestive disorders.
Live, this is CKVU News.
Good evening. Yesterday, we played you the disturbing taped confession of an accused child killer. Today, the defense questioned the officer who took Shane Ertmode's confession. Ertmode is accused of killing 10-year-old Heather Thomas. Jocelyn Laidlaw has the story.
Shane, this investigation is over. Look at me. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that you caused the death of Heather Thomas, okay?
It was the pivotal moment in the police interview. Corporal Greg Bishop switching from neutral questioning to aggressive confrontation of Shane Ertmode, the man charged with Heather Thomas's murder.
Okay, your lies are not going to save you, Shane. Your lies are not going to save you, all right? It's over for you. It is absolutely over. Not only can we disprove your alibi, okay? We can link the bag to you. We can link the bag to that car. We know exactly where that bag was placed. We know how you transported her. We know how you dumped her, okay?
Eventually, the 23-year-old Ertmode breaks down, giving a detailed confession the Crown has to prove is true, and the defense claims is a lie by a man under intense pressure.
She came into my place, and started talking, and before I knew it, it was over, it was done. I didn't know what I was doing. And then I panicked, like you said. I had to do something about it.
It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. You're just taking the first step to making that better.
But it cost me my life with it.
What things did Mr. Bishop say that pressured him? Because he seemed very kind on the tape to the average person.
Well, I think if you look at the material that's been filed on the Stockholm Syndrome, when a person's a captive, as Mr. Ertmode is, he accepts the smallest of kindnesses.
Small kindness will convince you to confess to a crime that you didn't commit?
If you're the right type of person.
The defense says the prosecution has no case without the confession, but 2 witnesses have testified that Ertmode owned the bag Heather's body was stashed in, and Ertmode exactly described the 2 locations where her body was hidden in Golden Ears Park.
If there was some way for us to talk to Heather right now, what would you say?
I would say I'm very sorry. To her and her family.
What would you say to her mom and dad if you could?
I didn't mean to hurt her. I didn't mean to hurt anybody.
Jocelyn Laidlaw has been following the trial from its beginning. Jocelyn, what does the defense plan to do next?
Well, Russ, the defense will continue to cross-examine Corporal Greg Bishop for at least a week more. They'll continue to challenge the interview techniques that he used that resulted in Ertmode's disputed confession.
And will that be the end of the Crown's case?
Well, no, the Crown has one final witness to call, and that is the undercover police officer. This man shared a cell with Ertmode in the days immediately after his arrest. Russ.
All right, Jocelyn, thanks. Jocelyn with the Laidlaw with the latest on this trial. And union workers at Vancouver Sun in the province are gathering tonight to vote on a deal to end their labor dispute, but all signs point to you getting your paper back by Monday. A tentative deal was reached between the union and management last night, giving the workers a nearly 8% wage increase over 3 years.
There will will be newspapers on Monday. We're satisfied with the agreement. It contains good improvements in health and welfare benefits, including an important change to our dental plan. In this economic environment in British Columbia, we're very pleased that we've been able to get this kind of a deal, and we are recommending acceptance to our members.
It is a harrowing account told in detail by a victim of domestic abuse, and tonight we have more on this story from Christina Stevens. Christina?
Thanks, Russ. You may recall earlier this week, Surrey RCMP were forced to shoot a man who had a woman at knife point. Yesterday, that woman did talk to CKVU News, but she said at the time she couldn't really remember what happened in the attack just before the shooting. Today, she speaks out about it for the first time in graphic detail.
I shot him. All the blood went in my eyes and in my mouth and in my arms, and I couldn't see, so when I tripped. And then they proceeded to shoot him again and again and again and again. And I got away.
Elizabeth's boyfriend, 41-year-old Travis Arbuckle, had her at knife point and was about to stab her when police opened fire, killing him.
I was horrified. Just horrified. Never seen so much blood in my life.
Do you remember how many shots you heard?
Six or seven.
Elizabeth says she knew about some of Travis's past, but not all. He was out on parole after serving a lengthy sentence for murdering his 2 young children.
I knew a little.
But you didn't know all the details about the kids and that?
I did not know all the details. All the details were very vague until last night.
When we met him at bingo, as she said, it was all a front. He was the sweetest, nicest guy.
She thinks there are cases where offenders should have to reveal their past.
I think it should be that he does at least tell the family members. At least we could have been watchful of Liz's situation, if anything.
The problem is you can't just go to the police station and say, I'd like more information on so-and-so. A person's criminal past is protected under the Privacy Act, so police cannot give you that information.
Look for something confirming in their background and their history that supports who they say they are and makes you feel a little bit more comfortable that what the story they're giving you is the real goods.
I feel free, but it's not exactly how I wanted everything to go. I didn't want him dead.
She says had she known more about Travis's past, she would have stayed away.
I did not want him dead. He chose to be dead. In my heart, the way I feel, he deserves to be dead.
Christina, there is the issue of privacy and getting information about past offenders, but I understand this man had actually changed his name?
That's correct. Travis Arbuckle was actually known before as Donald Watson. That's back in 1983 when he drowned his 2 children in the bathtub. There have been several cases in the past where an offender has managed to practically lose their criminal history by just changing their name. But Surrey RCMP assured me that was not the case this time around, that when they checked under the name Arbuckle, the complete criminal past and former name came up as well.
Tragedy. What about a funeral?
Actually, there's not going to be one. Elizabeth was asked if she would be attending the funeral. At that point, she said that Travis's family is planning to cremate him without any kind of service whatsoever. She says if there had been one, she would go. Still, she is thanking the RCMP today, crediting them with saving her life.
Thanks, Christina. Christina Stevens with the latest on this story. And Vancouver police are better prepared to handle cases of domestic violence thanks to funding from a somewhat unlikely place. AAA Horse and Carriage, which operates out of Stanley Park, has come forward to raise $20,000 for the domestic violence unit. The move comes after the unit lost money in police department budget cuts. So why would the business choose the domestic violence unit?
Domestic violence, it's something that I truly believe affect a lot of people that we don't even know about. A lot of young children, single mom, single dad, and so on.
AAA Horse and Carriage is hoping to raise even more money for the unit. It is selling special passports for horse rides. For more information, you can call the Vancouver Police Department's Domestic Violence Unit. It was a pungent protest. Environmentalists and Native people dumped dead farmed salmon outside the legislature in Victoria today. 2 people were arrested for mischief. The protesters are angry with the Liberal government's plans to lift the moratorium on fish farms. They say the expansion of fish farms will pollute the marine environment and endanger Aboriginal fisheries.
What are you hoping to achieve down here today? What was the point you were trying to get across?
Everything. The fraudulent ways that they're railroading our people and forcing fish farms on us when they've never consulted us. And this is what we put up with on a daily basis. It's welcome to our nightmare day.
But the provincial government says the industry can be expanded in a sustainable way, and new waste regulations will protect the environment.
I believe that they're going to be strong enough, and I believe that, like every other industry that exists in Canada today, there's a lot of self-regulation and monitoring by the industry.
Just ahead on CKVU News, Talking the Talk, City TV notables take to Vancouver's airwaves to spread the word about this station's upcoming launch.
This kids hockey team is different from the others. Find out why. That story coming up on CKVU News.
And get ready to kick back for another mellow moment. We'll take you to the Jericho Folk Festival. If you haven't heard by now, there are some big changes in store for this station come Monday. That is when we make the jump from CKVU to City TV. And today, some of the people that made this happen hit the radio airwaves to spread the word.
Where's your Moses now? Hello, Moses! Hey!
Moments in broadcasting.
Wow! You must be very excited. And this dream of yours many years ago, that format of television had never been seen before in Canada, where, you know, they'd walk up to the television, look in the camera, sit down on the desk, report the news. It was very casual. And it scored some big ratings and expected to do the same here in Vancouver. Congratulations. You must be thrilled.
From your mouth to God's ear.
Can we expect the Toronto type of local scene to this type of local scene? Are they parallel somehow?
Well, the operating system is similar, and certainly the philosophies are the same. But the whole idea behind our approach is that this is a system for local reflection, so it's intended to give a different result. The structure, the schedule, the same, and some of the techniques, videography, speaker's corner, and so on, they're the same. But the communities they reflect are radically different, and that has to come out on screen.
Again, our big change happens bright and early Monday morning with the arrival of Breakfast Television with hosts Michael Eckford and Fiona Forbes, with news from Simi Sarah. Join me at 6 for City Pulse News, and then Monica Diol wraps things up with City Pulse tonight at 11 o'clock. Well, he proved he has the guts to make it to the top. Rob Hill, whose story you first heard on CKVU, successfully climbed the highest mountain in Russia despite having no large intestine. Dave Lefebvre brings us Rob's story from a much smaller local mountain.
Rob, you want to climb the 7 highest peaks across 7 continents. You just knocked one off. What was it like?
Well, at times it felt like a cross between surrealism and sheer lunacy. When the weather would kick up and it would get really bad, basically all you could see was the person's boots in front of you, and you just sort of wondered, you know, what am I doing here?
3 weeks ago, Rob Hill climbed the highest peak in Russia, Mount Elbrus, to raise awareness for digestive disorders. And though he may have second-guessed his decision while scaling the beast, he now finds himself looking forward to the next mountain.
Growing up with, through my younger adult years with Crohn's, you know, I'm physically healthy now, mentally, that I feel I want to do something about it. You know, what can I do to raise awareness? So I decided, well, let's climb the highest mountain on every continent.
Rob wants to prove that you can live a full life with Crohn's. He lost his entire large intestine to the disease. Rob's goal doesn't end with Mount Elbrus. He's still training and preparing for an even greater challenge, Aconcagua in Argentina. Now, he hopes to tackle that mountain sometime in January or February, but of course, he's going to have to tackle this local mountain a few more times if he hopes to make it to the top of that one. As part of his training, Rob will climb the grouse grind with a weighted backpack to increase his strength and endurance. Climbing Mount Elbrus is equivalent to climbing the grouse grind 16 times, only in snow and freezing temperatures. His next mountain, Aconcagua, is nearly triple that. Try climbing the grind 43 times.
I'd just like to thank my family. Tell them I love them. And without them, none of this would be possible. And thanks for all their support when I was sick.
You broke down when you got to the top of the mountain. You were thanking people. You broke down in tears. Why was that?
I was highly emotional. I started thinking about, why am I here? Why am I doing this? And, I started thinking about my family and all the people that supported me, throughout not only my climbs, but being ill.
Dave Lefebvre, CKVU News.
Amazing feat. If your kids play hockey, you know how much the equipment costs. Unfortunately, not all parents can afford to pay. That's where the Open Ice Foundation can help. Our Benita Ha had a chance to hang out with the team and meet some of the key players.
Skating hard, Desmond breaks up the right wing. In on net. Oh, he almost scores.
I think it's great. Desmond is so excited about the open ice, and he is just having a blast this week. It's been really, really great.
Desmond is one of the players belonging to Open Ice, a not-for-profit organization set up to financially help out parents who might not be able to afford the high cost of having their kids play hockey.
About a year ago, I decided to come back and play hockey at UBC, and I realized how important hockey was in my life and how many values it's instilled in me, and I thought that with the rising cost of hockey, that I want to make sure that children have the same opportunities that I've had to play.
Open Ice emphasizes good sportsmanship and respect for other players.
You always talk to the players to be a team player, to dedicate themselves to what they're doing and being their best at all times. Just because you may not be the best skater on the ice, but it's the effort that counts, it's the sportsmanship, and it's wanting to get yourself better.
What types of things have you done at the camp?
Like drills, scrimmages, and like crossovers.
Yeah. How old are you?
8.
How old are you?
7.
7. Wow. So how do you like spending your birthday playing some hockey?
Good.
Yeah.
Good. And this guy's great, because what do you do whenever you score?
You do a little cheer. All right. Way to go. So what do you want to be when you grow up?
NHL player, Canucks, 99.
Benita Ha, CKVU News, Vancouver.
And if you would like to inquire about the next year's camp, you can contact your local hockey association. Sponsorship and donations can be made to the Open Ice Foundation by contacting Brian Kielman at 604-515-1984. Let's get our first look at the weekend weather, and we've got some bad traffic downtown, Mark.
That's true, yeah. I mean, some people are going to have to cool off, too. If you were expecting someone home, if you live on the North Shore, you're trying to get to the North Shore, expect delays of about an hour and a half. The reason why, following the work they did last night, they put in these very distinct bumps at each of the expansion joints along the Lionsgate Bridge. They're going to be there until they complete the final paving this weekend, but it has really slowed things right down. So you just might want to just remember what George Costanza's father said, serenity now. Here's what we've got right now at Vancouver International as far as the weather goes. Turning into a beautiful night. We're going to have just a few cloudy periods hanging around right now. And right now the temperature is about 21 degrees. We got a little better than that if you check the almanac. It did get up to about 23. Yesterday's high was 24, and the average high in the state is about 23. Nice stretch of sunny, great summer weather coming up. We'll tell you about it a little bit later on.
That sounds great. Check with you later, Mark. Coming up on CKVU News, Canadian Army investigators are looking for the cause of last night's fatal helicopter crash. Also, yet another story this week about cancer research. The latest link is all about breastfeeding. And up next, there is a big E. coli scare in the United States. We'll tell you if Canadians have to worry about any of that contaminated meat.
City TV is going to be cooking up breakfast television bright and early Monday morning with all your essentials, news, weather, traffic, and...
We're doing the Time Warp with the Rocky Horror Picture Show. We're cooking with Sammy Lodgy. We have Rick Hansen in the house, nude body painting. Oh, and our boss, Moses Snipers.
That and a whole lot more, 6 a.m. Monday morning.
Health news to report tonight, a nationwide E. coli alert in the United States has the Canadian Food Inspection Agency concerned. They are now checking to see if any of the beef covered by the recall in the United States was shipped here to Canada. The U.S. Agriculture Department has recalled over 8 million kilograms of hamburger meat. The meat might be contaminated with a potentially deadly strain of the E. coli bacteria. It has been linked to illnesses in at least 18 people in Colorado, South Dakota, and Wyoming. Health officials say consumers can guard against getting sick from contaminated beef by cooking it to 71 degrees Celsius in the center minimum. Some news for expectant mothers tonight. There is more evidence that breastfeeding is definitely the way to go. A new study completed at Oxford University in England says women who have more children and breastfeed longer have less of a chance of developing breast cancer. It says women could cut their chance of getting the cancer by 5% if they nurse their child for up to 8 months. And if investors were looking for another reason for a North American stock sell-off today, they apparently found one. The Dow Jones Industrial Average lost nearly 400 points to end the week at a 4-year low, and Toronto was off 189 points. This after news of a criminal investigation at Johnson & Johnson. And Canadian military officials are investigating the deaths of 2 more members of the Canadian Forces. This time, the deaths came at home in Labrador. A pair of pilots died when a Griffin helicopter crashed in a wilderness area last night, 80 kilometers northwest of CFB Goose Bay. The Army helicopter was returning from a search mission when it lost contact with the Search and Rescue Center in Halifax. It is believed that poor weather contributed to the crash. And coming up on CKVU News, the Rolling Stones suffer a devastating loss. Also, hanging with the Gobbers, our environmentalist entertainment specialist Darren Maharaj gets a personal tour of a UBC Punk Fest.
Do you have an unnatural fear of frogs? That's called batrachophobia. That and 1,000 other things that can mess with your mind coming up on CKVU News.
One-on-one with Pamela Anderson from her Malibu home. I'm Darren Maharaj. Don't forget to tune into the first edition of City Pulse Monday at 6, where I'll be in Los Angeles hanging out with Vancouver's favorite TV star. Don't forget to check it out. That's City Pulse Monday at 6.
Time for news of even better summer weather ahead. But first, Mark, I guess we should remind people about the downtown area. And if you're driving.
That's right. Yeah, big delays heading to the North Shore. So, hey, if at least you have the top down and the windows down, at least it's nice. But because of all those bumps that they put in at the bridge joints on the Lionsgate Bridge last night, that's really slowed things up. You're looking at delays of probably about an hour and a half getting to the North Shore. So better put dinner back in the oven. It could be a little cold by the time whoever you're waiting for is arriving home. But a nice stretch of weather coming up, too. Let's take a look at our satellite picture. The last, I guess, of these really kind of weak, pesky system, which has really not really given us all that much trouble during the past week or so. It's starting to pass over Vancouver right now. And when it does, get a nice ridge of high pressure building in. On the system's projection, you don't see it, but that's a good thing because lots of sunshine around. There may be a few clouds around for the rest of the evening, overnight, and tomorrow morning. But by tomorrow afternoon for Greater Vancouver and the Fraser Valley, we're looking at lots of sunshine. We're looking at some warmer temperatures, too, up to about 24 along the water here in Vancouver and down in White Rock. Downtown could be a little bit warmer, probably about 25, 26. And when you get out through the valley, it gets up to about 27, even warmer as you head to the interior. Vancouver Island, a little more in the way of cloud, especially towards the north and along the outer coast. It'll be cooler in those places as well. Elsewhere, it'll be warm, highs anywhere from 24 to 27 on the island. And the Sunshine Coast, Howe Sound and Whistler, will be basking in the sunshine as well. 24 for Sechelt and Powell River. Up through Howe Sound, gets quite warm, 28 in Squamish and in Whistler. Pemberton could probably hit about 32. And look for those temperatures to even get warmer as the beginning of next week rolls around. We're talking about highs maybe into about the 30s, maybe 33 in some of the valley locations and the inland areas as well. Across Canada tomorrow, here's the way things shake down. Still lots of warm temperatures, still a lot of cloud though, and a few showers here and there. Take a look at the daytime highs tomorrow, too. That heat wave will continue through most of Western Canada as well. 30 in Winnipeg tomorrow, and getting a little more comfortable in Eastern Canada when you consider those temperatures earlier in the week were up to about 35 and even 37 sometime in Toronto. Let's check out our 5-day forecast. Again, looks pretty good. Lots of sun for, I guess you could call that a 4 acre, maybe 4.5 acre. Eggs referring to the sun. Again, with the temperatures getting up into the high 20s and even into the 30s by about Sunday, Monday, and even about Tuesday as well. Because we're getting lots of sun, that means the UV index will jump into the high range at about 7.0. So again, if you're going out to enjoy any of this nice sunny weather, use the sunscreen, take your water, make sure you're hydrated, but make sure also that you enjoy it because, like I said, Russ, we're getting into the good part of July. Usually about the last half of July is kind of the nice weather. And then about the middle of August, it starts to get dicey again. And then comes September, which is usually my favorite month too.
Let's just call it a 5-acre, okay?
Yeah, okay,
Let's go for it.
Why not?
Thanks, Mark. And a reminder, we're always interested in what you have to say about the news or our stories. You can always call us and leave a message on our viewer info line at 604-872-NEWS. You can fax us with your comments at 604-874-5206, or if you're online, email us at tips.van@ckvu.ca. And coming up, all the latest entertainment news, including the scuttlebutt on Hollywood's hottest divorce. What does Angelina want? Also, there's lots of good, feel-good music blowing in the wind. We're down at Jericho for the annual Folk Festival. And in sports, we'll go out to the Canada Cup at Softball City, where you won't believe the crowds.
You're watching CKVU News.
We have entertainment news for you. It's a Friday. Lots going on. What do you got, Darren?
All right, Russ, tonight we've got some of the best in punk rock music, thousands of screaming fans, and some high-flying skateboarding action. It's the one, the only Vans Warped Tour. I headed down to Thunderbird Stadium earlier today to check out the action.
You got everything, man. You got skateboarding, you got the awesome bands, you got everything, man. It's gonna be sweet.
Yeah. Well, the Vans Warped Tour is back, and this year we're going to help you see it like no one else with the help of my 2 cameras here and the guys from Gob. Oh, the tour can't get much more warped than this. What's first, guys?
Let's check out the bus.
Let's
check
do
out.
it.
If you have smell-o-vision. Oh.
No.
Check this out, though. This is the only bus on the whole tour that has a shower. Hot running water. Down.
Down.
Here.
Oh, hey.
Here we go. This is Theo's bunk. Theo's bunk here right now. The lifestyles of the rich and not famous. Check out the Insane. We borrowed the bus, actually, from Insane. And, okay, yeah, I lied. We're in Insane. My name's Lance. Nice to meet you. So, how do you like Warped Tour so far?
That's rad, man.
Yeah? What bands are you here to check out?
You guys, Gob, NoFX, everybody, man. It's awesome.
Must be pretty tough for you guys to be able to even go around this kind of place, being recognized so much by your fans.
I know, it's crazy. Like, we can't walk down the street without being accosted by a million girls.
What about the band Gob? Do you know that?
Oh yeah, I've seen them before. Yeah, I went to one of their
heard they
shows.
suck.
No, they're good live. I've already seen them. I saw them about a year ago.
Oh,
it was really good. Yeah.
That's good.
They're awesome.
Have you seen them around? I heard they're around here.
No, I haven't seen them, but if I do, I'll let you know.
So are you here to check out some skateboard action?
I'm mostly here to listen to music.
What music?
Punk music.
What bands?
Newfound Glory is my favorite, and I like Good Charlotte and Gob.
Oh yeah? Nice work. I heard the guys from God were walking around today.
Oh, were they?
All right, this is Craig. This is Gabe, and we're Gob, and we're signing off from the Vans Warped Tour 2002, Vancouver.
And some sad news now for the Rolling Stones. As we mentioned earlier in the week, the band is rehearsing in Toronto, but they are devastated by the sudden death of their crew chief, Royden McGee. McGee died yesterday after collapsing during a rehearsal from what appears to have been a heart attack. The 54-year-old had worked with the band for over 30 years. The Stones are in Toronto, rehearsing for their first fall tour that kicks off in Boston on September 3rd. Now to a music festival of a totally different kind. The Jericho Folk Festival starts tonight and runs all weekend. We're at Jericho Beach Park. Gates opened at 5 this afternoon with the traditional Birkenstock Dash. For those of you that don't know Folk Fest lingo, the first 500 through the gates got the best seats, obviously. The festival has been running for 25 years, and it just keeps getting bigger. This year, there will be 7 stages with music from Africa, Morocco, and Cuba, just to name a few. Now, there may be some real life or death drama next season on the Osbournes. Sharon Osbourne's colorectal cancer has spread. Despite surgeries, her upcoming chemotherapy and recovery will be filmed for the hit reality series. Sharon told People magazine that husband Ozzy freaked and had to be sedated when he heard the cancer had spread. And as we first told you yesterday, the rumors are true. Angelina Jolie has filed for divorce from Billy Bob Thornton. They separated June 3rd, according to court papers. Jolie wants custody of the baby they adopted in March, but says Thornton can visit. This was Billy Bob's 5th marriage, Angelina's 2nd. Do you think they might realize there's a problem at some point? As we mentioned earlier in the show, the launch of our new identity is just 3 days away. Moses Neimer, who helped secure the station for Chum Television and has been instrumental in our new look, hit the radio airwaves to talk about the big change. But while on air at Rock 101, the discussion got sidetracked with a very humorous result.
No, it goes back to the 20s, actually. Really? The first Really? efforts at mechanical image transmission go back to the 1920s. The first electronic transmissions on a regular basis were actually done in the 1930s. People aren't aware.
We have a mechanical transmission still happening on the air called Tony Parsons. But, hey! Take it easy! Joe! Sorry, Tony! Tony, I'm joking. It's a joke!
We kid because we love.
We kid
Because we love.
And I think he dates back to 27, Bill.
Well, tell it like it is. Not going to argue with that one, are we?
A lot of buzz this morning about City TV, all starting on Monday.
And if you haven't heard, on Monday, City Pulse at 6, I'll be with Pamela Anderson from her Malibu beach home in Los Angeles.
All right, thanks a lot. Darren Maharaj, our entertainment specialist. And coming up on CKVU News, cooling your heels for a long, long time. Let's talk about cryonics. And next, is your darkest fear on this list? Dave Gary delves into the phenomenal world of phobias. The world has a lot to worry about these days, but even if it didn't, human beings would still be plagued with all manner of unnatural fears. Dave Gary went wandering in this frightening and ever-widening panorama of panic.
This week, I wanted to talk about why people will not take the first straw that comes out of the drinking straw dispenser. They push that little bar to get the next straw. What is the psychology there? Anyway, this led me to the internet on the subject of phobias, and I was stunned with what I found. I have 17 pages of phobias here. 17 pages. If I had paprophobia, the fear of paper, I'd be defibrillating right now. There are hundreds, if not thousands of things we're afraid of, and I don't mean the well-known anxiety provokers like heights, public speaking, spiders, and snakes. There are people out there who are afraid of otters, specifically afraid of otters. This is called lutrophobia. Now, this seems like a manageable fear. I mean, how often are you going to run into an otter? But some of these other phobias would shut down your life. The fear of sleep, the fear of eating, the fear of standing up. There's even the fear of gravity, barophobia. I don't know if phobias are on the rise. Mental health associations estimate that 5 to 12% of the population may be afflicted. It is the most common psychiatric problem for women of all ages, and it is the second greatest problem for men over the age of 25. If you have a phobia, what is it?
Bugs. I guess things flying in their faces.
Things flying in your faces.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks we have two horns and you know, like the Teutonian or the Vikings, and bite everybody. But this is untrue.
It's an irrational fear, this fear of German.
Of course.
I don't know.
Jephrophobia.
Jephrophobia.
Well, that'd be what he has, yep.
Your boyfriend is afraid of crossing bridges.
Yeah, he lives in Edmonton, Alberta, and he can't walk across bridges.
When the late, great American President Franklin Delano Roosevelt said, "We have nothing to fear but fear itself," he said a mouthful. By the way, the fear of fear itself is phobophobia.
And what do you call the fear of phobophobia? Oh, let's not go there. Well, to be frozen or not to be frozen, that's the question. There's still no resolution to the family quarrel over baseball great Ted Williams' body and whether or not it will be forever preserved. In the meantime, all those cold bodies have inspired a new body of work by a British photographer. Jeannie Mose now with a look at the strange world of cryonics.
Instead of a tomb, imagine hanging upside down in a tank that keeps you at 320 degrees below zero, and you're not alone.
So there can be 4 patients in each one of these.
Right.
Is there anybody in here now?
Yes. There are 4 whole body patients here, 4 here.
Lately, cryonics facilities like Alcor have been in the news and on comedy shows.
These men are looking forward to a day at the beach with A, picnic lunch, B, ice-cold beverages, C, Ted Williams. Ted Williams.
British photographer Jason Oddie wasn't trying to capitalize on the Ted Williams story.
I didn't even know who he was.
When he traveled to 2 cryonics facilities this past March to take photos.
This is directly underneath the operating tables.
Where they drain bodily fluids and replace them with a chemical solution to lessen cell damage from freezing. Oddie describes his visits to the cryonics facilities as
Quite a chilling experience.
But not as chilling as the folks in the tanks, often called
Cryonauts.
like astronauts.
Like astronauts, exactly.
Traveling to the future, maybe. Believers don't talk about death. De-animation is what they call it.
Oh, de-animation.
In hope of reanimation in the next 50 to 200 years, the Cryonics Institute outside Detroit hangs portraits of its frozen patients.
It looks like Billie Jean King.
It does, doesn't it?
I'd like to have her genes.
Instead of birth and death dates, this portrait at Alcor lists first life cycle dates.
The supposition of that being that there will be a second life cycle.
The exhibit at the Frederica Taylor Gallery is called Dying is Not Good for You, a remark made by one of the cryonics technicians in movies like Austin Powers.
This is our celebrity vault.
Cryonics is far more futuristic.
Reanimation complete.
Than here at the real thing.
What we call our Bigfoot tanks.
This one, I think, had some cats and dogs in it.
Are you kidding? It's estimated 75% of those frozen are men.
Why would you think more men?
Bigger ego.
The tanks at the Cryonics Institute hold anywhere from 2 to 14 people. What? No singles?
Who wants to be in there with 10 people?
At the gallery, a canister designed to store just heads caused jaws to drop.
Oh, man. Or just one head? One head.
From stem cell research comes the notion
You'll be able to grow a new body out of your neck. They're optimists.
at Alcor you can have your head frozen for $50,000 versus $120,000 for a full body freeze. Ready to stick your neck out?
I could dig it.
Jeannie Mose, CNN, New York.
I don't know. Do you want to be preserved
No.
forever?
I don't think anyone wants to preserve me.
Well, nobody's jumping up and saying we're disagreeing with you at this point.
Not at all. Well, just you and me.
Yeah, just us. Here's Dan with sports tonight.
Russ, how about those Leos? If you didn't catch their disemboweling of the Ticats last night, we have it for you right after day 2 of the British Open in Scotland. A few things emerging from today's round. You don't want to hit the bunkers at Muirfield, and if you're headed to Scotland this time of year, bring a sweater. A wee bit nippy. Tiger Woods in a slightly better mood today. No snapping. Phil Mickelson, his arms almost snapped off after that shot. Phil with a 76, he just made the +2 cut line. Carl Peterson, he's in this puppy. Nails the approach on 2. He's one back of the leaders, and there's a whole schwack of them. Colin Montgomery, not popular in America, very popular here. Round of the day, finished with a 64. That was his bird on 18. Dorf on golf, making a run for it. No, that's Lee Jansen. How about that for a save? From his knees, he would sink that for the sand save to end all sand saves. The smiling assassin, Shigeki Murayama, approach on 14. Watch this ball. Watch it closely. Here it comes. Hits the other ball on the green. That guy will be here for the ACC. Ernie Els had a great round today. A 66. Nice bird on 5. He's in the lead pack at 6 under par. Hey, look who's watching. Scotty Bowman said he'd be there. He is. Back to Tiger for bird on 17. From the fringe. He sinks it. He's at 4 under. 2 back of the lead pack. That lead pack
has Els, Tway, Waldorf, Harrington, and Miriama. All 5 are at 6 under. Mike Weir got his game back on track today. He's at 2 under, 69, and he's even. He's easily made the cut. Notals missing the line, some big names. Vijay Singh, Jose Maria Olazabal, and John Daly all going home. Daly actually 9 over par. Okay, the alarm bells. They've been turned off the BC lines for now. The team has a win, and they threw a couple exclamation points on it just in case no one noticed. Spotlight on Matt Kellett in this one. Lions kicker looking to put his right foot forward in this game.
And the naked move for down.
Pick it up. Tied at 7 in the second. Okay, who's on that guy? Obviously no one. Eric Carter can't catch him. 58 yards later, Tony Aikens
Allen right up the middle.
gets Hamilton their lead. But how do you stop Sean Millington? You don't. He barges his way in, and people just bounce off. A couple minutes later, Allen under pressure, scrambles just before he gets decked, fires a hope you catch it, and he does to Larry Thompson. He has blue on his hands. Millington would put that one in. How about this? Danny Mack under pressure for the pass. Barron Simpson crushes the poor guy. Danny, I don't feel so good, guys. He would return, but his team wouldn't. Lions win their first of the season on a 4-touchdown effort from Sean Millington.
Oh, this is awesome. The guys, everybody worked really hard. We've been pushing really hard this week, and we finally got the monkey off our backs.
We talked about it in the locker room, was to make the game physical. We felt like we had to go out there, make big hits, just hit them all night. And we was going to get them to lay down sooner or later.
He is the leader of the defense. He's probably the premier middle linebacker in the league right now. He makes plays all over the field, and he made a lot of big ones tonight. It was a very complete game by the team, and it really isn't a whole lot different than the way we have been playing, except that we didn't commit the penalties. They gave Hamilton an opportunity to keep drives going.
Not a whole lot different, except you won. Millington 1 touchdown shy of tying a league record. Okay, Leos, they look to make it a streak next Friday when they take to the nearly thawed tundra of Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. Next home game, August 1st against Calgary. Eskies, they're playing the Riders tonight. Big crowds out at Softball City all week, none bigger than last night when Canada met the world's #3 team, Australia. Our Canuck ladies back in action today against the USA Outlaws. JD now. More from sunny South Florida.
Patriotism on a high here at Softball City. Attendance at new highs as well. They set a record yesterday. Just under 20,000 people crossed through the gates. Actually, for the first time ever, a game was sold out.
It's hard to estimate the crowd size, but it was definitely full. In fact, this has been the most successful Canada Cup since the tournament's inception in 1993.
Over 19,000 people here yesterday. Canada Cup's been fairly successful, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, every year it usually draws a big crowd, and certainly it was a nice crowd last night to play in front of it, and with the Australians on the field with us, 2 of the top teams in the world.
Canada playing like one of the top teams in the world in the early innings of this one. That solo blast off the bat of Allison Bradley. 1-0 Canada.
Good shot!
The Outlaws would tie it up with this round tripper. This game, like many a good one, fans loving this year's Canada Cup.
First 1, 2, 3 checks, you're out of the ball game.
They're a good bunch. Very, very good. Fun to watch, you know.
And the weather, this is perfect. A lot better than work, isn't it?
I took the day off. You're not supposed to say that.
So this is turning out to be a pretty good tournament, isn't it? Great weather and great ball.
Oh, you couldn't ask for better weather than this. This is something that we've looked forward to.
Team Canada was 3-2 heading into today's playoff action, but this isn't the summer's big tourney. That would be next month's World Championships in Saskatoon.
How's your team shaping up? Going to extra innings against the #3 team in the world looks good heading into Saskatchewan.
It's good for us. In fact, in the last 4 outings with us in Australia, we're 2-2 with them, and so we're feeling pretty good about how we can walk on the field with the top teams and certainly hold our own.
Jeremy Dunn, CKVU Sports, White Rock.
How about the human flagpole out there? Hey, Canada hung on to win that game 7-6, so they now play the undefeated Team Smith Nationals at 7. At 7 tonight, as in about 5 minutes. Okay. Now, the way the playoffs work is you lose, you're okay. Lose twice, you're done. The old double knockout. No knocking off the greatest story in sports at the tour. The Pack remained in the mountains today for stage 12. Lance Armstrong looking good in yellow. How about these bozos? Duking it out on their bikes. No, that's my croissant. No, it's yours. Back to Armstrong, breaks away from the Pack. Puts it into a gear that the other riders just don't have. This, a 6-hour ride. Armstrong does it again. He takes his second consecutive mountain stage. The Texan now leads by over 2 minutes. Okay, the only real thing going on today in the NHL, the Thrashers signed Yui Krupp, a guy that's played 10 games over the past 3 years. On the Diamonds, Jays playing Tampa, Expos with the Marlins in Seattle. We start up with Anaheim just a bit later. Yanks and Sox, they have their battle of the East going on in the Bronx. Problem is, it was raining. Just got started. So it's going to be a good weekend for ball. Now, Russ, just wait. Do we just start ripping stuff down now?
No. Yeah, this is it. This is it for these digs.
No more boxes.
A new set, City TV, starting on Monday, and